As mentioned in our headlines a short while ago, we have a special expose on the controversial project, the oil refinery project in the EPZ in Mirijavela, Hambantota. The oil refinery project, yes, the oil refinery project that the government said is done at a investment of 3.85 billion US dollars into the country. Now, through our investigative journalists, we have been able to get hold of the cabinet paper that has been put with regard to this special oil refinery, this controversial, I should use the word controversial because I'm going to reveal the details that are mentioned in this cabinet paper as well to you in a short while. We have the cabinet paper, and guess who the minister is that has put forward this cabinet paper before the cabinet of ministers when it comes to this special, this controversial project in Mirijavela in the Hambantota EPC. You guessed right, it is this gentleman over here, Minister Malik Samaravikrama, who has put forward this cabinet paper. And what I have right in front of you, I'm able to show this to you. This is the cabinet paper that has been put forward for the Mirijavela project with regard to the oil refinery. Now let's get to the details that are mentioned here. Yes, from time to time the government came forward and spoke about this project, and they said that 3.85 billion US dollars will be invested from Oman, from an Oman party, and from a company in Singapore identified as Silver Spark, where afterwards it was revealed that there was an Indian company through Singapore will be investing this money in the country. We spoke to you about the Indian businessman, his connection, his controversies surrounding the coal scam in India, obtaining money to put a child into a medical college that he had owned and operated. And we also spoke to you about the company with regard to this investment, and that the company is a collection of his family members, especially his wife, his daughter and his son, and this company through Singapore is trying to allegedly invest in Sri Lanka. We spoke to you about the controversial nature of this business and as businessman as well. Now, like journalists here in Sri Lanka, journalists in India have also got hold of certain controversial documents pertaining to this particular business. I will draw your attention to one such document. This was published a short while ago in the Hindu, where Mr. Jagat Rakshagan, who is the businessman, a leader of the DMK party, has put forward his election affidavit with regard to the upcoming Lok Sabha elections in their country, where he says that he has quit the Singapore-based firm last year. The Singapore-based firm is the Silver Sparks company that we are talking about, that is going to bring 3.85 billion US dollar investment into the country for an oil refinery in Mirijavela. Now the story goes a bit beyond this. Yes, he might say that he has resigned from this company, but what happened to that 3.85 billion US dollar investment? Who is that investment coming from? Where rather is that investment coming from is the question that I'm trying to raise right now, because with the details that are available in this article, there has not been any purchase of shares from that particular company in Singapore. So basically, if you go through this article, which is available on the internet, anyone can read it. I'm sure the people who have been speaking about this project will also go through this article that is now available on the internet. The 3.85 billion rupees that is supposed to come into the country, it's missing. No one is talking about purchasing shares, especially this businessman who is embroiled in controversy in India says that he has quit the Singapore-based company a year ago. His wife, who is also a shareholder, had agreed to purchase 4.5 million shares of this particular company, but money has not been sent to buy the shares of this company. So all in all, this company that is trying to invest in our country, allegedly according to several high-ranking ministers of our country, the company has not yet commenced full-fledged operations. This is what the Hindu, quoting the affidavit provided by Mr. Jagat Rakshagan, a leader of the DMK party in India, is saying today. This was a short while ago. So let me come back to the document that we have at hand, put forward by this gentleman, Minister Malik Samaravikrama. Now, we are talking about a project that is going to create 10 million metric tons annually, refined oil for the export market. Now, when we are talking about a project that is this big, we are also saying on the other hand that this project is a 3.85 billion US dollar project. But the point that is not conveyed properly to the general public of our country, what they are trying to hide, is that this is a project that will be carried out for over 44 months or 4 years. So the investment, if you break it down to a year, it's about just above $1 billion US. That's one point. Now they also, in this cabinet paper that I showed to you earlier, they also speak about the employment opportunities that will be provided. One is for about 565 local employees, 565 local people will be taken into this oil refinery once it's established in 4 years as employees. And 185 jobs will also be provided for foreign individuals who will be coming into the country for this particular controversial oil refinery project being put up in the Mirijaville area in the EPZ. Now, this particular cabinet paper that you see here has been put forward on the 15th of February 2019. Now, is this the first time that such a cabinet paper had been put forward with regard to this specific project? No, this is not the first time a cabinet paper has been put forward for this particular project. In 2016, as we mentioned to you day before yesterday on our special report, in 2016 a cabinet paper had been presented with regard to an oil refinery project. In 2018 a cabinet paper had been put forward with regard to this particular project, and this particular final cabinet paper had been put forward in February of 2019. And as parliamentarians in the parliament mentioned over the days, last few days, when these cabinet papers were presented before the cabinet, some of the companies, especially the Singapore Sparks company that we just saw, where the chairman or the owner is saying that he had quit 1 year ago, had not even been registered in Singapore, and the new companies had also not been registered. Now, we don't have to say, we don't have to speak about this particular businessman in India, because everything regarding him is clearly mentioned in this article and in a number of articles put forward by various media outlets in India. And the family involvement of this company is very clearly mentioned in all of these as well. Now, what we are trying to talk about here is what this company is going to bring to the country. And according to this particular cabinet paper, it is clearly mentioned that about $9 billion will come into the country as an annual income. $9 billion will come into the country as an annual income. But what they are not revealing, yes, of course, if it's 9 billion, it's definitely good for the country, it's good for the rupee, and it's good for the economy as a whole. But what they are not revealing to the general public, or what they are not, everyone is talking about this 9 billion, but what they are not speaking of is the fact that this 9 billion will come, if at all, in 10 years after the completion of the project. So 4 years to complete the project, and then another 10 years the country has to wait, if at all, for a profit to come in. Now, with all of this happening in the country, if there is an attempt or not to whether this project is a success or not is for the general public to decide based on the information that is available. But international organizations like Transparency International Sri Lanka have come forward, they have spoken about this, and they have issued a clear warning to Sri Lanka with regard to this particular project. Let's have a look at what Transparency International had to say. Our producers will now play the Transparency International media release that was issued today.
Transparency International Sri Lanka in its media release says the main investor in the project, the Singapore-based investment vehicle Silver Park International Pte Limited, is a company controlled by the family of Tamil Nadu politician and former Indian Union Minister Dr. S. Jagatrakshan, whose business interests have previously been implicated by Indian authorities and the media in several alleged corruption scandals. It also reveals that of the 40 FATF recommendations which set the international standards on combating money laundering, recommendation 12 requires that reasonable measures are taken to ascertain the source of wealth and source of funds in transactions involving politically exposed persons.
In light of those risks, we have under something called a grey list, which the Central Bank of Sri Lanka is working very hard to get off. But when we see investment like this, there are always going to be certain questions which are asked. And recommendation 12 of something called the Financial Action Task Force recommendations, which is the specific entity which is also placing Sri Lanka on the grey list, it mentions that the source of funds and the source of wealth of individuals making such investments, particularly who are politically exposed persons, which Dr. Jagat Rakshakan clearly is, must be looked at in greater detail. So what they call enhanced due diligence. In light of that, the Board of Investment in Sri Lanka really must take steps to ensure that this is not a money laundering risk and look at this with ever closer scrutiny.
However, the Deputy Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade states that such a process should not be followed regarding investments. When looking at the board of directors of this firm, it's a group of relatives of an Indian politician. How clean is the track record of the topmost person in this board of directors?
චරිත තත්ත්වය කොහොමද? ඒ පුද්ගලයා චරිත සාහිතික වඩන්නේ නැහැ අපිට. ඒ කියන්නේ චරිත සාහිතික බලන්නේ නැහැ. චරිත සාහිතික බලන්නේ නැත. මොහොත විරුද්ධව ශ්‍රී ලංකා ආයෝජන මණ්ඩලය අපිට ආයෝජකයෙක්ගෙදී වෙලා තියෙනවලු මූල්‍ය නෑ බලන්නේ නැහැ. වත්කම් සොයපු ආකාරය පිළිබඳව ඉන්දියාවේ ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. අපේ රටට නිවැරදි ක්‍රමවේද අපේ රටේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ බැංකුව 90
We do not look into those. According to the procedure followed by the central bank, we do not care if a particular investor has murdered people in his own country. It does not matter whether he had looted either. We do not probe those. The BOI does not look into the background.
Isn't our country facing many crises today as a result of such ignorant statements? Deputy Minister, this is a shameful statement. Are you agreeing that any individual, regardless of whether he is a murderer, international criminal or racketeer, can invest in our country? It goes without saying that the henchmen follow the path treaded on by their leader. Who are the people discussing with the leader? We cover the faces of a few people because of the positive image they portray to the public. Our critical decisions concerning investment projects, business plans, as well as political decisions taken at such discussion tables. Anuradhisa Nayaka made a revelation today regarding the individuals who joined this discussion. Don't expect Ranil to stop being a thief. He was the mastermind and orchestrator behind the bond scam. There are two sides to this bond scam. One side is the central bank. Arjun Mahendran belongs to that side. The other side is perpetual treasuries. Now, on which side are investigations being carried out on? They still have not probed into the side of the central bank. Remember that. Current investigations are being carried out on the private company. One of the directors of Perpetual Treasuries is Ranjan Hulugalla. The government arrested him for being connected to the bond scam. Ranil Wickramasinghe had made him the financial director of Lake House. He was hiding at Shangri-La during the time of his arrest. When he heard that the police were on the way to arrest him, he fled in his Benz car and he was being chased by the CIT. He was heading towards Temple Trees. Unfortunately for him, the railway gates at Slave Island had closed and he was arrested. Where do the rogues go? To the palace called Temple Trees. Isn't Ranil Wickramasinghe a rogue? Not the post of Prime Minister. He is not even suitable to be the chairman of the funeral aid society of a village.
Who put the cabinet paper?
Yeah,
who is the one who put the cabinet paper? That means the person who put the cabinet paper, that minister,
he is
responsible, and he should be. He has broken the law. He has misled the cabinet.
Not only
he
that,
should be sacked. If one of our group directors did this,
and definitely he may be
Mr. Chairman, there will be no need for the Mr. Chairman to say anything.
Yeah.
The group HR will sack the guy before.
That definitely. Why the government and cabinet have a responsible common. If the one minister put the wrong cabinet paper, they should have a go through the cabinet paper. Who is the company? Who is the owner? Where is the register?
That means no due diligence has been carried out. And what was the ministry secretary doing? Yeah. Was he asleep?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Maybe there may be a cabinet paper come from the Minister of International Trade or Mr. Malik Samaravikrama.
Yeah.
He may be the person who brings the cabinet paper. Otherwise, Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Both who bring the cabinet paper, there is no deviation, no debate, I think so. That's why, without the due diligence of the company, they give the approval. Exactly. Why the cabinet? They should have asked who is the owner, what the business they are doing, and how the business they are running. Then we have that kind of criteria to search when we are going to the approval in the cabinet.
Yeah.
Nothing happened because of why? Mr. Wickremesinghe insists to approve the cabinet paper, otherwise the cabinet paper will not pass. That's the thing.
Well, I think
I said, Paras, this is the setting. Now we can see so many things near future.